Okay, we should be streaming now. Hello everyone. Um, okay, got background music playing, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm a little iffy on it. If it's horrible and you can't hear it, or you can't hear it, or you can hear it too much, then I'll do my best to deal with that, to cross that road. I just find that oftentimes my audio is like kind of empty when I'm not talking, and so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna throw a little bit in there, a little bit of backing audio to make things uh, feel more full. I don't know. Anyway, hello, hi everyone. Good to see you. Can't hear any music. Okay, well there we go. All right. Let me open up OBS here. How about now? What's the topic for today? I don't know. I just kind of was like, just get on here and talk, and yeah, it'll be fun. In 1 through 10, what is number for Phantom of the Paradise? There is no number. The movies aren't numbers. Movies can't be quantitatively evaluated. When you're evaluating something qualitative, you can't evaluate it with quantitative. I completely reject the idea of numeric ratings. I think that they are absolutely unhelpful and pointless, and like fairly worthless. Are you speaking really close to your mic really quietly because you don't want to wake up your parents in the next room? Wow, the Sunday audience is great. No, I am alone. Thank you. Anyway, have you read Berserk? No, and I'm fairly certain I'm not going to be doing that. I did see the new Star Wars movie, and I'm gonna go see it again tonight. Yeah. Very excited. I really liked the new Star Wars. Yeah. It was great. I don't want to say much more than that because just simply I feel like just simply it was great is enough to say, because I don't know. I'm under the opinion that like a lot of movies, like if a simple like one line description of an event in the film quote unquote spoils the movie, then I don't know, there's probably a decent chance that the melodrama of the plot points are the only thing that matter. But the thing is, like, I I don't want to spoil it because I know that it'll make a lot of people angry, even though I believe that the story beats that are worth talking about are good, regardless of whether or not it's something something that is a plot point that can be spoiled in and of itself. Can you expect anything on the new Star Wars movie? Probably not. I don't know. I'm not really too interested in like the big pop culture stuff. So, yeah. I was pleasantly surprised to see Laura Dern. Yeah, David Lynch gang. Laura Dern is in it, and is it Balthazar Getty that's in there? I can't remember who else is in there, but anyway, somebody else. Yeah, yeah. um, The Devil's Night of the Hunter. I keep seeing like, come on, when are you gonna do these videos? Um, so like the Devil's thing, I've lost the cap to my pen that I was fidgeting with for no reason at all. Anyway, the Devil's, I have a script that is like about a third completed, even though I have an outline that's completely done. So it's just a matter of filling in the blanks, but yeah, it's a little, I mean, I'm working through the kinks. I want it to be fun and exciting, and I don't want it to just be, just like a kind of bland thing. And then the other thing, the Night of the Hunter thing, I haven't started that, but I love that movie, and I should probably do something with it at some time. Have you seen The Lure? Yes, I saw it in the theater. It was great. The Lure is great. It's really inventive and interesting. Somebody was asking about Poughkeepsie tapes. I've never seen the Poughkeepsie tapes, but I'm aware of the Poughkeepsie tapes. I've heard about them for years, and for years. It's a movie. But the movie is currently on Blu-ray. It just got re-released, so I'm looking into picking it up and watching it. I have a list just 1,000,000 miles long, so getting to it is going to be one of those things where, like, a lot of people expect that, he bought a movie, he's going to talk about it. Not necessarily the case. I buy a movie and then I'm like, when am I ever going to sit down and actually get to watch this? So we'll see. Out of curiosity, are you interested in other things besides film? If so, what are they? Whole lot of stuff. I mean, my hobby is but there's this arcade game called Pump It Up, which is like it's kind of like DDR, but I play that a lot. Like, I go out to arcades and play Pump It Up. I think it keeps me I don't know, keeps me healthy. When I find that a lot of people that end up having a somewhat career on YouTube, like, they end up kind of sitting at home an awful lot, and they don't really get an awful lot of exercise. So my thing is, like, I try my best to get out of the house as much as possible. I think it's just good for me. So that's what I try to do. Man, the questions are kind of flying by, so I'm trying to keep up with everything, but admittedly rather difficult. Oh, I did not even know that this was playing. Okay. Also, hi Brooke. Good friend Brooke is here. It's Brooke Speaks. She's in the chat. Go and subscribe to her YouTube channel, which is very good. Yeah. What else happened? Do you read? No, no. I can't figure out how to read. No, I'm being a dick. What are your favorite novels? Also, have you read House of Leaves? I read House of Leaves twice when I was in three times, sorry, when I was in high school, back to back. Like, spent a long time just on that. And, yeah. I don't know if I would ever go back to reading that again, because I think it's just like, I think the point of House of Leaves, the point of the book is to not have to read it, like, to not have to read the book anymore. It's a thing where it's a book built on being obsessed with it, so you have to continue to, like, go down the rabbit hole, but the lesson ultimately is, don't go down the rabbit hole at all. Like, just leave it alone. Like, once you figure out kind of what's going on, like, sometimes there are no more answers than what you think you get. So that's sort of what House of Leaves, the whole thing with House of Leaves is. Uh, there are a couple other questions. 3 billboards I did see. I found it off-puttingly caustic, but at the same time kind of, I mean, very obviously great, but at the same time a little bit, off-putting. And that's not a bad thing. It's just like it kind of put me off from it. So I was kind of in this place where I was ambiguously charged towards what the movie was going to, how it was going to try and wrap all this stuff up. And then at the end, I'm still a little bit torn on how I feel about how it pulled everything together. But I do think that it kind of pulled everything together. There's like a couple really human moments at the end that I think really kind of sell it. But yeah, I like it. Also, I got a super chat from Osgoth. I'm assuming that's Australian, but because they gave me Australian money, but just recently started watching your stuff and I love it. Have some worthless Australian money. Thank you. Thank you for your worthless Australian money. And thank you for the super chat. You're wonderful. And yes. What the hell else? There were a couple other questions that were kind of interesting. I'm having to pick and choose questions because they're kind of going by a little bit fast. Do you record music? If so, do you share? I do record music. I do share in my own sort of way. The last video, the Ingrid Goes West video, I bookended the video with 2 songs that I've made. So like the beginning is a song I wrote, and the very end is a song I wrote. Both of them are unavailable to purchase, but I have them on my hard drive. I wanted to fill it out to be like, like at least 5 songs or something before I released it into like an EP form, or just like a full-on like 10 song album. I have this kind of method to making music that is like, don't strive for it to be perfect. Strive for it to be interesting, make interesting decisions, but like a lot of the songs that I make are unfinished intentionally, or I will degrade them. Like I'll finish a song and then I'll degrade them heavily with tape and with all kinds of stuff like that. So just to kind of try and make it feel like it comes from a different place than my computer. So I do a lot of that kind of stuff, recording on tape and then like digitizing and then doing the opposite, doing it on digital and then transferring it to tape. So a lot of my stuff, I try really hard to kind of make it more difficult for the audience to like it. I don't know. I think that music is kind of one of those things where, you have to meet, an audience has to meet halfway with it. A lot of people that don't like an awful lot of music, or like, they don't like things that are particularly different. I think that comes down to just, like not meeting the artist halfway and trying to understand them, because I don't know. I like music that feels like it comes from a place in time, or like a space. So I try to explore that with my sound. But anyway, music. Why are we talking about this? Which YouTubers do you enjoy? I admittedly don't watch a ton of YouTube, but I like, I really like Lindsay Ellis. She's great. I like Dan Olson. He's great. I like, well, Brooke is here. Brooke's great. And H-Bomb and Sean, they're great. Yeah. I don't know. It's a little bit difficult. There was somebody that there's some channel called Film Joy, I think is the channel, but they're from, oh yeah, Strucy. Yeah, Strucy's great. But anyway, no. there's this channel, I think it's called Film Joy, but they're from Plano, which is about, I don't know, I was in Plano yesterday, so like 30, 45 minutes away from me, and they're doing a channel that's really pretty cool, like on their couch, which is awesome. So yeah, that's another person if you want to check them out. So do you have a comfort zone, and how much do you try to explore out of it? I feel like I explore out of my comfort zone regularly. I like to explore outside my comfort zone, and I encourage other people to explore outside their comfort zone as well. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's what gives us a lot of our, I don't know, our ability to, I don't know how to word it, so I'm just not going to. Yeah. What is this? Have tips for pacing longer videos. I feel like the best thing to do is, the way I do it is I take my main theme. It's like making movies, right? So like the idea is to you have a main theme, main point, everything that you really want to do. Like your what was I gonna say here? All right, so you take your long theme, your big theme, the thing you want to say, and this goes for movies too. It's like, what do you want to accomplish with the thing, right? What do you want to accomplish with the movie? What do you want to accomplish with a video? What is the point that you want to end up in, where you're like, here we are, here is the point, and then you have like sub themes and you have sub points. So it's like, how do you get to the point? It helps to have, yeah, sub points. So what I do is I take my big theme, what do I want to say with this, and then I break that into 5 or 6 pieces where I'm like, here's these other things, and then I basically write one video per piece, and then I bookend it with a top and bottom piece, and then I just try to wrap it all together to make one grander point, and then I use the narrative stuff, like me talking to the skeleton and like stuff going through there, as a way to kind of bridge the gaps, to kind of fill it all in, and at the end of it, hopefully it all ties together in a nice way. So that is my advice. It's basically writing, 5 or 6 10-minute videos or something like that, as opposed, and you can think about it that way, and it helps you write, better, really, because you can like, you can sit down and think, okay, here's my cohesive thought here, here's my cohesive thought here, here's my cohesive thought here, and it is a lot like essay writing, yes. Oh my god, it's Dogstrong. Hey Dogstrong, happy birthday. Do you think a back and forth is necessary in a long video, like yours or H-Bomb talks to other characters of himself? I don't think it's necessary. Matter of fact, I've seen a lot of long essay form videos where they never do that, and it's fine. It's a matter of like, when you do that sort of thing, basically you're utilizing the ability to make people, okay, so in editing there is this term called "meanwhile back at the ranch," which is in the Walter Murch book, In the Blink of an Eye. If you haven't read that, it's really good. It's about editing, cinematic editing, but basically well, here we go, I'm on screen now. You got one beat, you got 2 beats, and you got these 2 stories playing out. So you got your voiceover narrative stuff. Meanwhile, you've got this. So basically it's your way to, like, I'm finished here and I don't know where to go, so I can go to my narrative stuff. And that's why the back and forth helps, because it's basically, I can go to this back and forth stuff, continue this on, and no one will notice that I kind of dropped this point. I've finished this point and I don't really know how to, like, tie it all together. yeah, so that's pretty much that. Yeah. There were a lot of like questions that I missed because I was answering. I have a tendency to answer I have a tendency to answer questions in a really long way. Uh, um, thoughts on XX? I think XX is fine, and I don't understand why everybody got so pissed off about it. It's like it's a well-intentioned film made by some ladies that are talented, and that's it. It's like if you go to a shorts festival, if you've ever gone to a shorts festival, basically what you're looking at is there's going to be like 5 or 6 short films. They're all around a similar length. Some of them are good, some of them aren't so good, and then they usually like have some sort of tie-in segment, and it's nice. It's fine. It's like there are hit and miss pieces, right? To these sorts of things. So it's like whatever. I don't understand why people are so pissed at that. Yeah. I assumed seeing that it was a sequel to the Vin Diesel movie Triple X. No, that is Triple X 3, which is the greatest action movie of all time. Oh my god. What else happened? Haven't read H.P. Lovecraft since high school. I've been thinking about reintroducing myself to them. I remember them being rather racist, but I can't remember. I read a lot of like literature from the past. I think that's something that just you kind of got to accept about literature of the past, is like look for the ideas that are in there, because like a lot of the viewpoints in them are pretty antiquated. But anyway, talk about How Sue? No. What would you say is your favorite album of all time? Mine is Music Has the Right to Children by B.O.C. Favorite album of all time? That's tough. I have a few. Let me open my iTunes. I mean, favorite album of all time is tough because I don't know. There's just a lot. I really like the Ariel Pink record Loverboy. I think that's the best he ever did, but that's my view. I really like John Mouse's all of his records. All of John Mouse's records are amazing. And if you haven't listened to Molly Nilsson's History album, that is amazing. Portished's Dummy album is really good. I don't know. There's some. I don't know. I wish we had a mod. Is anyone in here willing to be a mod? Because holy shit, there's some nightmares happening. How would one get into the film industry creatively when they have no talent for writing dialogue of characters? Don't give up on your dreams. No, but become a practical guy. Like, learn how to use lights, learn how to use a camera, learn why you use a camera, learn the emotionality and the nuances of film. That would be a good thing. That would help. Yeah. Darby Adams gave me a super chat saying, thank you for your explorations. They're thought-provoking, sometimes challenging, and always hilarious. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, okay. I'll mod Dogstrong. Dogstrong is the best. I don't remember how to do that, though. How do you mod somebody? Oh, here we go. Yeah, Dog's a mod. All right, there. Solve the mod problems. Strongest. Um. Okay. Anyway, what were we doing? Someone says they're epileptic and they love both my videos and horror. Do you think that Pulse and Flash are necessary parts of a horror film? I don't think so. I think if that's something that you're going to do, you need to have a significant reason for it. Like when I made Black Mass, the whole point of like the sequence where there were images layering over each other is to create meaning between the two shots working simultaneously, but in a rapid fire way. And a lot of people were pretty against that, but I put a warning on it. Like I knew that there were people that were going to have a problem with it, so I warned people. But a lot of films don't warn people. I think warning people is a great thing to do when there's something in it that might really seriously bother them. It's funny, I was just in this class in film school where they played this video essay that somebody made on A Clockwork Orange, and like literally the first thing that happened in the video was like a full-on rape, and that's the first thing they showed, and they didn't warn anybody, and everybody just went ah, and it's like, maybe don't. Maybe don't. Maybe warn them. Maybe warn people. How do you become an actor when you have no idea what makes a good performance? This is for my friend, not me. It's all about understanding motivation. Like, it's all about understanding why people say words. Like, a natural performance is when somebody behaves in a way that's motivated. Like there's a clear reason as to why that person is behaving the way they are. And basically the job of a director and actor, like in their collaborative efforts, is to figure out what exactly drives the words on the page. Like, why is somebody saying this thing? And then you perform the words. Like, that's like with that motivation. You say the words with that conviction. And that's how I find we motivate actors best. It's kind of like this. Never tell somebody as a director to be something. Tell them to do something. So like that is, oh God, that is such a common problem in like with like student work, is actors hate working on student things because like the directors are very condescending. They're like, okay, that was good. Now, can you be funnier? And it's like, how? Okay, let me ask you this question. How the hell does one be funnier? Like, how do you just be that way, And so, like, the challenge with, for example, like a Shakespeare play, like trying to direct a Shakespeare play, the matter is you go, okay, what is being said here? Why is this person saying this? And then you have to translate it into our current way of speaking and figure out what they're saying and why they're saying it. And then you motivate them to do the thing instead of being the thing. Like, nobody can be funnier. Like, there is no scale in your brain where it's like, okay, this is not funny and this is funny. I need to do this, It's like, how do you motivate somebody to be funnier? Like, you got to tell them to do something. So, if you want to be a good director or a better director of actors and work with actors in a way that's respectable, tell them to do stuff. Like, it helps. It helps a lot. Okay. Didn't Stanley Kubrick torture one of the actors on set to give her best performance? Yeah, and that's the biggest dick move of all. And like, I don't understand why people think that's amazing. Like, Hitchcock did the same thing, and like, there are rare instances where good filmmakers will be horrible dicks to actors and actresses, and it will achieve their goals. It will make the movie better or whatever. but like most situations that I've worked on, like movies that I've worked on, when somebody's like being a dick to the director, or sorry, when a director's being a dick to an actor or a crew member or anything like that, it usually does not go well. It usually does not help. It usually makes everybody really angry and they want to go home and they stop trying. And when people, like when your crew betrays you, you usually make a pretty bad movie. So there are rare instances where like it worked out, and oftentimes it's the certain branch of like auteur theory where there are a lot of auteurs that believe this is a good idea. But being a dick to your crew, never a good idea. Make them happy, they will make you happy. That's just like that's a good thing to do. Anyway. Can you do a hair flip? Is that a hair flip? I don't know. Is this a hair flip? I don't know. The Last Jedi was amazing. What about art from adversity? I believe there's a reason why that is commonly referred to as more of a myth than anything. Every film has adversity on it, but it doesn't come from being like the director being a dick. Like most of the time when I've been on set and there's a director and he's a dick, the movie is bad. Like almost always. So yeah. Also, thank you for the super chat. Found your channel from your Bye Bye Man video. Thumbs up. Thank you. That's very nice of you. A lot of people found me that. Rating out of 10 for The Last Jedi? No rating. I refuse. I said this earlier. A lot of people ask me this. I find it so strange because I've spoken out against it so many times, but I guess there are always new people to this kind of thing. But you don't take something like qualitative and apply like a quantitative thing to it. Like there is a lot of conversations to be had about The Last Jedi and the way that it works and all that stuff. But the least interesting conversation is like, I wonder what number it is, you know, like what number out of 10 would you say it is? My view is that it's very good, and there's a lot of interesting stuff about it. There's more interesting stuff in the lineage of like the Star Wars movie series and all that. But my general opinion is that it's a good movie and you should go see it. That is my general opinion. For me, art making isn't about divine inspiration through suffering. It's hitting my head against a black wall until I decide the dust on the ground looks pretty cool. Okay. I'm starting to get into making films, but I'm looking for good starter video cameras. Any options? Good, cheap video camera is... I would recommend that you learn on like a Canon T3i, T5i. T5i is the obviously the better. Don't get the T6i. I don't think that it's worth the extra bump in cost. But the T5i is great. It's a great starter camera. I used it for years until I moved on to like working on actual cinema stuff and like video cameras and whatever. So that's something that I would try if I were you. T5i is good. Black Mirror, I watched a couple episodes. I thought it was kind of cool, but I don't really have a whole lot of interest in going back to it. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'll check it out. Maybe I'll check it out. I don't do well with TV. I just don't do well with like long-standing series stuff. What are your thoughts on fan edits? I think that they are interesting, but inherently not I think they are like they're an interesting conversation about like what fans seem to think they want movies to be versus what the movie actually is, if that makes sense. So I don't feel like it's like treading on I don't know. I don't feel like it's treading on the ground of like somebody who made something, because I strongly believe that a lot of work after it's made kind of belongs to culture. But at the same time, I don't know. I think that the fan edits, there's an interesting conversation to be had about what fans seem to think they want from their movie versus what the director wanted to say with the movie. Yeah, so that's that. What are your thoughts on the Death Note reboot by Adam Wingard? I kind of like it. I think it's kind of neat. There's a lot about it that I think is kind of neat. And I will admit my bias here in that I have spoken to Adam Wingard a couple times, and I love Adam Wingard's early movies. I met him after The Guest, and then I don't know. I think that we have the problem with what Adam Wingard is doing with these movies is that he's going in with a clear vision on what he wants to do with movies that are, or with stories that are ingrained in a sort of culture. So like, for instance, Death Note, Death Note, is like this well-loved thing, and basically Adam Wingard's view on it, and I know this because I spoke to him, is to kind of take it apart and try and refinagle it with a lot of different ideas. And I don't want to talk too long about this, so I will just say that I think that a lot of people are very pissed off, because everybody's always pissed off about every movie, but people are very pissed off about it, and a lot of that comes down to they are experiencing a reaction based on the movie actually working on them than how they think. Like, it is the feelings they're feeling are the intended feelings. And the problem is people are going, I don't like these feelings that I'm feeling that this movie's making me feel. So, I hate it. I hate the movie. I think Adam Wingard's a piece of shit. When really the conversation is like, I'm having this reaction. What about this movie has made me have this reaction? Why? What about the changes and the sameness are the things that are instigating this reaction in me? And then we have a conversation about that. I think that a lot of fans are very territorial about these kinds of ideas. Like, they see that there's a Death Note movie, they're instantly skeptical, they get angry immediately when something is different, and they have a really hard time engaging with the movie in any sort of way other than these preconceived ways that they're looking at it. And like, ultimately, the Death Note movie is a lot more complicated than a lot of people are willing to admit, and I think this is kind of a problem we have in film culture, is that the voices that get heard the most are the loudest, angriest, and simplest voices. So in the manner with the Death Note movie, the conversation that is being had is because it is being shouted very loudly by people who are saying, oh, the easy answer is it's objectively bad, which good luck defending, because I think you would have a very hard time defending a movie being objectively bad. That being said, it is kind of shitty that there's whitewashing. I've had a couple conversations about that, and I understand why these casting decisions were made. Because it ultimately is taking it and repurposing it as a criticism of American youth, which is, my culture, which I understand. But at the same time, it is a problem that these are opportunities that could have been given and extended to Asian performers that these opportunities were not taken, and that is something that is a problem. So I have kind of a complicated reaction with the whitewashing in the film, but that's just one aspect of this larger conversation about what the movie ultimately is versus how audiences feel about it. But somebody was asking, what about film critics? Do they play a part in this culture? I think they lead the culture in a very bad way. And a lot of them, yeah, it's like, it's a matter of literally trying their best to simplify a complicated conversation, a complicated thing. A movie, it's a complicated thing. There's thousands of shots in it. There's like ideas in a movie being thrown around literally every second. A movie is a complicated mess of ideas. Like every sound every sound design choice is an idea. Every shot, every edit is an idea. These are edits and these are ideas, and these things are flying at us at this like huge rate. A movie is like this weird living thing, and if you can simplify that down to being like, oh well, it's just, yeah, it's bad. It's like, well, isn't there a more extensive conversation we could be having about this? I find, and this is a principle for what I try to do on my channel, is art is only as valuable as the questions that we ask it. And if you don't ask a lot of questions, if you don't ask the right questions, there's a good chance you're not going to get anything out of it. And ultimately, that's what we should be striving for. We should be striving to get things from our art. Yeah. I think we should be striving to get things from our art, and we should be striving to ask the proper questions. And if we aren't asking the right questions, then good chance that you're not going to be getting anything out of it. I'm not particularly interested in horror games right now, so I keep seeing the things, and yeah. There's a good chance that if you ask me a question and you tag me in it, that I'll be reading the question as I'm speaking. And then, yeah, I don't have to, yeah. So what is the camera question again? Titus Kent? No, Rotten Tomatoes is a shit site, and so is IMDb. I know you recommended Canon DSLR, but I'm thinking of getting a Nikon D3300 instead of a T5i because the D3300 can do 1080p, 60 FPS, and is cheaper. Would that be a great idea at all? Honestly, I have not really done the proper level of research on that particular model of camera. So it kind of comes down to the sensor size, which lens mount you want. I like the Canon EF mount, although a lot of people swear on Nikon lenses, saying that like Nikon lenses are inherently better somehow. Even that, I think, I will admit this, Nikon lenses have an interesting character to them. The shape of bokeh and the shape of the shape of the roundness of the aberrations of the glass is really interesting. So I think that is an interesting way to go if you want to try Nikon. I know a lot of people who swear on Nikon, but a lot of people consider like Canon mount to be one of the more industry standard ones, along with PL, and I don't know. I think Nikon is one of the things that's like fairly considered industry standard. So I don't know. I think it would be interesting for you to try it. I've seen a lot of movies that were shot on Nikon glass that's really great. So that's something worth trying. I don't know. I think it might stand out. Oh, important. Other thing about it is crop factor. What sensor size and crop factor really have a lot to do with what you want out of a camera. Basically, crop factor is this. So let's say you have I don't know how to do this. Okay, let's say you have a Super 35 sensor. So basically, this is your sensor, and then the glass goes on it like that. So you're losing some of the actual image. However, on the other hand, if you're shooting on like something like full frame, you're going to be getting that entire image when you throw glass on that. Versus like Super 35 is like it selects a certain element of the sensor, and that's what you capture. So basically what that does is, like, if you put a wide angle lens on a camera, there's a good chance that with a certain level of crop, you're going to be, it literally crops in. So you're going to be getting twice to 3 times as much of a shot. So you're going to be losing about half the wideness. I don't know. It's kind of hard to talk about without numbers, but like, for instance, let's say you've got like a 14 millimeter lens, so you're getting more like a 28 when you throw it on an APS-C. Oh, okay. APS-C is fine. I don't mind APS-C. I think Super 35 is the best. That's my personal preference. Although I think that Super 35 is the best. I think a great argument can be made for why full frame is the best. As a matter of fact, full frame with 4K is like breathtaking and great. And especially if you're shooting, something crazy like anamorphic. I don't know. There's a lot of elements that go into it, but for your purposes, I think APS-C on a Nikon camera is fine. And also 60 FPS is great, and I use it all the time on private sets. So it's worth trying. I think it's worth trying. So maybe that's your answer. I don't know. I'm currently scrolling up because there were a lot of questions that passed by. What are good scripts to use to learn about screenwriting? I would recommend that you screenwriting is very complicated. I think that the number one most important thing about screenwriting at first, when you're first starting out and learning, is to figure out the formatting, because if people can't read your scripts, there's a good chance people won't read your scripts, and they won't give you insightful, like, meaningful criticism of your work, and can talk you into moving like forward in a certain way. So I would say that would be a good thing to do. Like, read any screenplay and figure out the functionality of each of like the formatting choices. That is like, once you can get over that hurdle, once you figure out how to physically write a screenplay, then there's a good chance that you'll be kind of getting things moving. Yeah, that's the best. That's the best I can tell you right now. If you have a more specific question, I can answer that too. Have you seen Garth Marenghi's Dark Place? It's amazing. Yes, I love it. What were your thoughts on Flatliners? I didn't see the Flatliners remake. Are you a fan of Greg Araki? I like Greg Araki's movies, but I haven't seen enough of them to really get a sense for entirely how I feel about him as an auteur or something. But I like some of his movies. Have you seen the movie Slither? Yeah, I've seen it. I love Slither. Slither's great. What? Okay, are we back? Did I go? What happened there? I don't know what's happening. Anyway, sorry. Anyway, what were we talking about? Can you recommend any films that I can look at to learn about editing? I think most films are really good. ways of looking at editing. Sorry that I went away. I didn't know that happened. I don't know why that happened. It's very strange. But anyway, yeah, I think that editing is all about how you look at what you're doing, and that means that you're going to have to read in the blink of an eye, which is, I mean, the thing is, so in the blink of an eye is a lecture slash book. It was a novelized lecture that Walter Murch gave about editing. Walter Murch famously worked on like THX 1138 and Apocalypse Now, and a lot of movies. He edited a lot of stuff. But the thing is, he is amazing at editing, at cinematic editing in the modern times, because he has theories as to how these sorts of edits psychologically affect people, which is a lot more interesting of a conversation than to say what is good and what is bad editing. I think ultimately we need to figure out what is meaningful editing, what is psychologically meaningful editing, and what is the functionality of editing, how does it work. And so, for instance, like in the book, in the blink of an eye, he talks about how an edit is literally diegetically blinking in a scene. Like like a shot reverse shot kind of thing. You know, you've got a person over here and you got a person over here, and you want to watch the conversation. And basically what an edit is you look at this person, they say something, you blink your physical eyes, and then now you're looking over here and you're catching what they're saying in response. Blink your back, blink your back, blink your back. And the thing is, psychologically, that's how we process editing. And there's been even a psychological, like a study where they watch people watch movies, and you can literally see people blinking between shots, because that's just how that psychologically works. That's how we process the natural reality of movies, the verisimilitude of movies. So like that is meaningful editing, is editing that allows for a continuation of our natural rhythm of blinking and watching. So I don't know if that helps, but there's a book about it and you should read it because it's great. Yeah, man. Oh my God, so many film questions today. How do you analyze form aesthetic of a scene? Wait, what? Did you see your recent video made it to the front page of the R Movies Reddit? I did not. What video was that? And also I doubt it, because I don't think I got a lot of views on the thing. So recent video? Surely not the Ingrid Goes. It was the Ingrid video. When did this happen? Like right now? Is this happening right now? It got 100 upvotes. I don't even want to look at the comments on that. I'm sure most of them are like, who's this cuck who's making stupid anyway. Weird. Okay, well that's weird. What was going on before? How do you incorporate monsters into your movie? What does the monster mean to your movie? What does the monster mean to characters? They made fun of you for having XX on your good film list. Did I have XX on my good film list? I had Triple X3 on there. Triple X3 is a good movie, and you're all wrong. Triple X3 is the most excessive action movie of all time. Not of all time, but in the modern day, it is a trash baby of epic proportions. See, that's the thing, is like people just don't know, like me, and so they make assumptions as to why I would put that there. And the thing is, like, I unironically think that movie is fucking amazing in just how excessive it is. So that's fine. They can fuck off. What else is going on? I sent it. You're welcome. Thoughts on The Room? I'm pretty bored of The Room. Although I think The Disaster Artist was really kind of interesting the second time I watched it. What else is going on? I'm reading comments and trying to figure out if there are any of these that I want to talk about. Really made your night when my night when you joined Sean's stream the other night. Oh, thanks. Yeah, that was fun. And then we won, which was amazing. That win is like, and Dogstrong's here too, so like, Dogstrong is the greatest PUBG player of all time. Do you agree with Tarkovsky that learning about the world in a literal sense shouldn't be the top priority of cinema as an art form? Yes, I agree. You have to understand, there's a couple things that are worth understanding about that perspective. So, like, Tarkovsky put out, he put out a lot of movies around the same time as, like, Kubrick was working. So Kubrick's thing was, like, understand the world, communicate the world in a certain way. He pushed this kind of pseudo realistic view. Like, he took things very far, Kubrick, into a certain type of reality. It was like he maintained a type of reality while taking us into these like dark and weird places, pushing reality, right? Not Tarkovsky. Tarkovsky working at the same time, and Tarkovsky got a lot of funding as competition to Kubrick, like competition to 2001. A lot of the stuff that Tarkovsky was doing was intentionally put upon by that part of the world to tackle like the auteurism of Kubrick and the importance of that. So like Tarkovsky's approach was impressionistic, and if you've ever looked into like impressionism, like as a form of art, basically what that is it's a rejection of reality into a type of emotional reality. It's rewriting reality to be emotional. So the thing is, Tarkovsky's not interested in the reality of the worlds that he's building because they don't matter as much as the relationship between the impression we have of that moment. It's like when you look back at a memory, you don't look back at the realism of that memory. You don't look at the realism of a dream. You look at it from this perspective of like the emotional reality of that. And ultimately, that is what Tarkovsky's contribution is literally rewriting the emotional reality of a memory or a moment or a dream or something like that. It is writing the emotional reality. It is, and that is something that you cannot do with realism, and it is a rejection of realism. It makes realism narratively nonsense. It doesn't matter. So the thing is, like, my point is, they're both valid approaches. Like, Kubrick's approach is important. Tarkovsky's approach is important. So the idea is, right, movies are dreams inherently, kind of. I mean, they are not reality. And I think that this comes down to like a decent rejection of like Ayn Randian artistic objectivism. Like, if you want to beat that, the idea is, well, do movies really reflect reality? I don't think they do. I don't think they inherently have to. I don't think that they are reality. I think that they are a dream state. They are this weird kind of not reality place that we like to go to obtain emotional information. We go there to exercise our empathy for other people. We go there to understand other perspectives, there's a lot of stuff that we do with movies, but achieve reality is hardly ever one of them. Because even at best, we are going back to, like, let's say a war movie, and we are true story capturing the realism of this war that happened. It only matters to us if we can capture the emotional reality of that memory. What does that memory mean to us, and how can we, like, achieve to understand it? That's what I mean. That's like fundamental to how we make movies. I think that's pretty damn important. Full Metal Jacket is not realistic at all. Like it is, like a lot of people would claim that it is. It is realistic in a lot of senses, but it is enacting on that vibe, like that vibe of understanding like Vietnam era stuff, and it's like going to that time period and understanding it from an emotional perspective, and like where we are now. It's important. And I think that it's important in the way that we make art, because I think we have this idea that like art has to convey this very real thing that's going on, and we can view it objectively based on how it works in tandem with our current reality, when really they follow completely different rules. There is a realism to it. It's verisimilitude. It's like there is a viable amount of realism to it. It follows similar rules, like motivated stuff, but they are inherently unreality. That's something that Video Wiz just said. That's like movies are unreality, music is unreality, art is unreality. It is not reality. Like, and if you're trying to grade it on a scale of reality, then guess what? You're probably not going to make an awful lot of sense. And that is something that I see an awful lot of in like film review stuff, is like, that's not realistic. Well, guess what? Movies aren't. And basically when somebody says something isn't realistic, is like they didn't feel like they were along for the ride of the realism of the moment, because something that happened threw them out of that and made them more aware that they're in a dream. But it's important, is my point. It's important to think about these things when you're creating stuff. Wow. Okay. That was big. What? Somebody said something up here that I was like, oh, yeah, really want to talk about that. That was my Tarkovsky rant. I think Tarkovsky's great. I think you should all watch him. With all the sexual abuse stuff going on, at what point do you think we have to separate the artist from the art? Tough conversation, hard conversation, because ultimately we're having a different conversation than, okay. This is a hard one, because okay, I'm going to start with the conclusion. Should we separate the art from the artist? Maybe is the answer. And the answer literally comes down to, like, can you? That's great. Good for you. You know, good for you. You can. Wonderful. A lot of people can't. And a lot of people I see online just go in on people, just attack people, because they can't separate the art from the artist. And it's like, you understand that a lot of people have been through some shit, right? Like, you can't. Like, you can't. Like, a lot of these people cannot abide by supporting people that have done things that maybe have happened to them in their life, and they're like, wow, I would never pay this asshole who, like, fucking sexually assaulted me. I would never give that person $20 to see their art. Why would I give it to Roman Polanski, Woody Allen, whoever, you know? Why would I give that money to them? And that is a fine response. Like, people not wanting to support those people makes total sense. and I mean, even on the merit of the accusation, because it's like, a lot of people are like, well, its accusation is like not proven guilty. And it's like, yeah, okay, fine. But you have to understand that people are going to view this situation differently now because of that. And if they don't feel like paying for that art, that's fine. They don't have to pay for that art. But there are people that will pay for it. And they'll continue to pay for it. And that's fine. If they want to see the art in this inherent, like, independent way. For example, so Woody Allen's got a new movie coming out, and it has some really, like, from what I've heard, it has some really kind of fucked up stuff about it, right? Especially in regards to the way that Woody Allen has his own sort of relationships and the things we kind of know about him, or think we know about him. So that's inherently interesting to go to that movie and see what, in the context of that, what is being said by the artist about that, maybe even without his own knowledge. Like, that's amazing. That's an interesting conversation to have. And you know what? If you want to buy that and see that and have that conversation, I think that's acceptable. I think that's fine. Like, I am not the police of who can buy shit, but my point is, like, if you don't want to ever see a Woody Allen movie again, if you want to take your Woody Allen movies and throw them in the garbage, hey, that's fine. Do what you want. So I have a bit of a laissez-faire attitude to this. Like, I think we should have understanding for those of us who do not want to separate the art from the artist, cannot separate the art from the artist. I think that is inherent. We should all at least have that level of understanding that people have had shit happen to them and they no longer want to support artists that they think are evil fucks. Like, that's fine. And we should have empathy for those people. So that's my vibe on that. It's like, art from the artist, maybe. If for you, okay. For me, okay. Whatever. There's a lot of movies that I'm like, I probably don't want to touch that again. Like, I recently tried to rewatch Repulsion, which is a Roman Polanski movie about a woman being terrified of being raped in her apartment. So she has these weird visions of people attacking her and things. And I shut it off after like 20 minutes because I was like, this doesn't feel good. And that's fine. That's fine. Like, whatever. But you know what? Rosemary's Baby to me is like this amazing movie that I don't know. It's weird. I have this vibe with Rosemary's Baby where I can see it somewhat independent of all the things that happened because I grew up with it. I saw it at a very important time in my life. I have an important relationship with that movie regardless of who made it. And that is a situation where, like, yeah, I can make that separation. But the same director making a different movie that has a little bit too much of me thinking about what happened makes me go, I don't know. So, you see what I'm saying? Like, it's complicated. It's complicated. It's a complicated conversation. And I find that oftentimes it's the same thing as everything else, where what I was saying about reviews and stuff, where the loudest, easiest answer is the one that is always heard. It's the person saying, everyone should be able to separate the art from the artist. Everyone should be able to separate the art from the artist. And if you can't, you're an idiot. It's that sort of easy thing. And I see that a lot online, and a lot of that view is very popular. But my view is simply that if you can't, that's okay. That's completely fine. Like, that's fine. So that's where I'm at with that. I mean, I hope that's okay. I hope that's an okay answer. Maybe there's a lot more to it than that. And personally, with my money, I don't like to throw my money at people who are notably assholes. So, yeah, I'm fine with that. Hopefully that was an acceptable conversation, like acceptable answer. There was another good question. What do you think about censorship and how it can affect a movie? Another complicated. Okay. Let's go. Okay, so censorship. With art, the conversation is a tricky one because I think a lot of it has to come down to who is doing the censorship, why are they censoring it, what is the situation there. So like some censorship is good. I think wow. Okay. That was a weird thing to just blurt out, but all right. Let me put it this way. Restraint is good. Restraint is a good thing. It's a great thing. It's good. I like it. Restraint is good. For example, and I'm talking about this in my video on The Devils, which The Devils, notably, is a heavily censored movie. There are a million edits done to the director's cut of The Devils that cut it down to make it significantly less offensive, which is, from the director's own words, fine in a lot of ways. Like, he believes that a lot of the stuff that was cut for good reason. There's a shot late in the movie where someone's being tortured, and so it's 3 shots. There's a wide, or 4 shots. There's a wide shot. There's a shot on the torturer. There's a shot on the torturee, on his face, and there's a shot of his leg getting broken. The censors were like, okay, that leg getting broken shot is really pretty horrible. Maybe you should, we would like you to cut it. And he was like, okay. And he cut it out, and the scene worked better because it focused in on the emotionality of the scene, the emotional relationship between the two people, the torturer, the torturee, and like what was going on there, the drama of the scene. And by removing the violence of the scene, we're now confronted with that. It's the drama. The drama is the important thing. Remember that. Also, filmmakers in the chat, the drama is the important thing. Drama is the best. Drama's important. The excessive shit can be let go. Cut it out. It doesn't need to be there. Drama, though, better be important. I mean, it's important. Keep it in there. But the thing is, so if something is important to the story of the movie, then I think we run into a problem. On a formal level, you know, like cutting out a couple shots, making things a little bit more, you know, a little bit more restrained, I think that's okay. And I've had many people come up to me and watching my movies and say, ooh, I think that this shot here actually detracts from the movie. So my view on that is like, you know, censorship in a formal capacity, like we're going to make sure that you cannot show that moment in the movie, like that has its pretty shitty implications. However, the whole vibe of like negotiating restraint, I think, is a good thing. However, when we're talking about the story of the movie being censored, then we have a problem, because that is like literally the point of the movie. So in the same movie, The Devils, there is a scene where some nuns get together and they tear down a big Jesus and they have sex with it. And it's in the movie. It's in the director's cut of the movie. Now, obviously, that is cut from, like, that was the first thing. They were like, get rid of that. But the thing is, in Ken Russell's vision of what the movie is, that is an important piece of what that movie's story is, like what that movie is about. Yeah, that's a pretty important piece of why that movie exists at all. And the thing is, that is documented as having happened. Like it is telling a piece of history as well. But it's an important part of the story of the history of that whole thing. So like, yeah, censoring that is a little bit more sensitive, maybe that one's a little rough. And also, so there's this thing on Twitter going around that's kind of interesting about censorship, where they're saying that Twitter doesn't ban the Nazis. They don't delete the tweets as much about like the things that like Nazis are saying or whatever. Whereas YouTube, you know, if a lot of people flag a video for having like a bunch of Nazi shit in it, that video will probably go down. Probably. So the thing is, it's an interesting conversation, because the idea is like, we want those ideas to not be propagated into the world, like, but at the same time, it's like, we want to know that this person that is saying these ideas is clearly saying these ideas so that we can say that they're wrong, and we can convince people that these ideas are wrong, but we need evidence of that having happened. So it's like, when you remove something, it's like, there goes the evidence. Although it should probably be removed, but then in the same, so like Twitter, they usually, they have a tendency to not remove things that maybe should be, but at the same time, look, there it is. There's the document of the thing being said. And there it is. It's right there. They don't censor the thing because they believe that, look, there's that person's idea. Now you can have evidence of that idea existing. Interesting vibe. My whole thing with it is like, that's a weird conversation to have about the limitations of censoring things. It's a lot more nuanced. It turns out that a lot of these things don't have a straight answer. It turns out that most of the stuff that is like this really complicated thing, when it comes down to like my views on something, I don't have a definitive answer, because I can hear the philosophy on both sides, where it's like, do you remove the thing, or do you keep the thing to be interrogated? Do you leave it up for people to document the view, or do you straight up get rid of the thing? Yeah, I mean, there's a level of nuance to it, and I've heard arguments for either side, and to be honest, I don't have a viewpoint on that. So that's that. Yeah, sorry guys. I'm going to see The Last Jedi again tonight, so plans are happening there. It's getting kind of dark in here because it's getting dark outside. Do you guys mind the like tenebrism that's going on in this shot, where it's like I'm literally cascaded in darkness? Like, is that fine? Is that pretty cool? I don't know. Do you think you'll use Letterboxd again? Probably. There's a funny thing that happened there where I stopped writing on Letterboxd because I decided there was a great narrative ending to my Letterboxd contributions. The problem is it came very early. So like, I wrote some pretty decent little pieces on different movies on Letterboxd, and essentially what happened was I watched a movie called The Adventures of Food Boy, and it was so like, I was so disappointed, because the idea of the movie of The Adventures of Food Boy is that he shoots food out of his hands. Like, he can spawn any food. He can spawn any food. So it's like, oh my god, that's amazing. Like, that's going to be the best movie anyone has ever seen. Oh, it's the most boring damn movie ever. There is one amazing scene in The Adventure of Food Boy where, similar to like, have you ever seen in a movie where like, you know, a girl goes into the bathroom and she discovers that she's had like her first period for the first time, you know, that sort of thing happens, and it's like, you know, this kind of sensitive moment. Well, The Adventures of Food Boy kind of plays reference to that moment in movies by having Food Boy go into a bathroom, and he just starts like, just starts spewing from his wrists like Spider-Man, just wrist mustard going everywhere. And then like bread starts to materialize. He starts firing bread and ham and shit, and it's just like a mound of it. That is the most amazing moment in the movie. Unfortunately, it's also the only amazing moment in the movie, pretty much. But so Letterboxd. I had to talk about that whole movie to bring back to Letterboxd. So I'd written some stuff on Letterboxd, and people were like, it got some positive attention. A lot of people liked it. And then like I watched Food Boy, and I was like, oh fuck, I should write a little Letterboxd thing. So I go to Letterboxd, and I wrote the review, go fuck yourself, Food Boy, as the review for Food Boy, and then I never posted again. So I like to imagine that people like find it and they're like, hey, this guy's Letterboxd campaign, like his little Letterboxd reviews are pretty good. I like his, and then they get to the Food Boy one and they're like, oh, he never posted again after the Food Boy thing. What did Food Boy do to him? You know, like I started to embrace that narrative, and then I just never wrote on Letterboxd again. So maybe I should just pick it back up and drop the joke. But I like that joke a lot. So yeah, that's where I'm at with that. What's the best way to meet like-minded people and form a group to make art with? Hold on one second. Okay, looks like I'm going to the 6:30 showing of The Last Jedi. Cool. All right. Anyway, best way to meet like-minded people. So, my view on that is, okay, there's this wonderful thing called film school. It's very good. It's terrible. It's a nightmare. It sucks. It's horrible. But you have a tendency to meet some like-minded people, and you end up making some pretty okay stuff with them, and it's pretty good. And I've wondered, seriously, I've seriously wondered whether there is a place quite like film school where you can be in that environment and meet like-minded people that will actually do really good work for you. In my experience, there is not a place like that. I think there should be a place like that, but I find pretty often that there isn't. So, I think something like this should be created, but I don't think the internet is the place to do it. I think you have to do it in person. I think that filmmaking is a get up off your ass and do it kind of world. So it is important to do that. But I don't have a solution to this. If there is a film club, a photo, some places have photo academies, and a lot of them do little like lighting workshops and stuff. That's a decent place to meet people, but I don't know. Okay, there were two questions that I really wanted to answer. I'm sorry that I didn't have a conclusive answer on that. The first is what about world building, in reference to me saying that movies are all about drama. The most important thing is drama. World building is drama. So it's like world building has a lot to... Okay, what is a story about? Narratively, how do we build a story? It is the idea of relationships and emotions, like combining to create some sort of meaning with the world that surrounds them. So it's like... it's that whole idea of like man versus nature, man versus man versus himself. Like these sorts of things are narratives. And within those, you can kind of achieve the actual narrative of what you want to say. But so my point is your world building, if it is good, good is... it's probably a bad way of putting it. Okay, your world building, if it is intended to be very meaningful, should tie in to the relationship with the people involved with the story. It should be part of the story. You know, I've heard it both ways about like Blade Runner, where they're saying that Blade Runner creates this amazing world, but it doesn't give a shit about the people that are in the world. Now, I could argue that the relationship between the people in the world is interlocked in such a way that it is the story. I would argue it is the story. However, a lot of people don't believe that, and so that's, I don't know. There's different ways of looking at it. But at the same time, I think it's pretty clear that the idea is, it's pretty damn important that your world building is motivated. It is motivated by the environment of the world. If you have seen the movie THX 1138, it is an amazing, amazing film of world building. And that world building plays directly into the story. It is the most important aspect of the relationship in the movie. So motivate your world building. Motivation is amazing. It's the key. It's the golden thing, you know, motivation. Motivation is literally, why is this happening? It's the most important thing. So okay, there were a couple other questions. There were my throat is starting to fuck up. Okay. Small question. Do you know how to get attention on YouTube doing something you love? I've been hammering away at my channel for years, yet no progress. So, there are a few ways to do this. None of them are good. None of them are good answers, and every one of my answers is going to come across as like, every one of my answers is going to come across cynical and horrible, and I'm so sorry. There are 3 paths to getting a lot of views on YouTube. 4. Maybe let's say 4. Number 1. Controversy. Pick something, say something that people aren't saying about it, and challenge the people that are saying the thing that is the opposite of what's being said. Now, me, I feel like I, by existing, challenge a lot of the status quo of like film criticism, because I have these, let's call them alternative views. But I mean, I went to film school. Like I've got a very extensive knowledge on how all this stuff works, and I find that a lot of film criticism on like YouTube is pretty not good. I find it to be pretty unmeaningful, pretty unhelpful, you know, these sorts of things. So the thing is, you can go online and you can say a bunch of controversial stuff. And so, like, if I change my approach, I would get so many subscribers. All I have to do is pick the film critic that I don't like this week and challenge them with my ideas. And, you know, maybe I'm right. Maybe they're wrong. Maybe the challenge is worth it. But in my view, I would rather be the change that I want to see in the world than, you know, fight somebody. You know, that's just how I feel about it. So maybe you're different. Maybe that's okay. But so controversy, challenging things, you know, fight the power. You know, if that's something that you want to do that. Also, somebody asking about fan art. I love fan art. Please send me some. Okay. Anyway, second thing is you can hop on the bandwagon, figure out what people are talking about, and talk about it too. You know, everybody is talking about The Last Jedi. You better make yourself a Last Jedi video. You can send me fan art on Twitter. Anyway, everybody's talking about Last Jedi. Hop on the fucking Last Jedi train. Like, start talking about Last Jedi. That's the way to do it. You know, get on there and make your angry shouty video, or make your video saying everybody's an idiot. Like one of the two, because it's being talked about. It's getting views right now. So hop on the train, hop aboard. Make that the whole point. So you can do that. It's shallow. Oftentimes it is unhelpful. It's pretty much inherently unmeaningful. But hey, it's a way to get the views, and pretty much what you need to do is get the views to make it, right? So, okay. The third way is to be two things: shouty and easy. You got to be shouty and easy. So when people ask me questions, I kind of ramble for like 20-30 minutes, but you'll notice that a lot of other people don't really do that. Like a lot of other people that you see online, their whole thing is, I'm gonna put this in the most uncomplicated, blunt way as possible. Here come the big views. It behooves them financially to not see the nuance in certain scenarios. It behooves them to not think about these things in like a nuanced way. So that's a pretty important thing. If you want to get famous, start yelling, start making everything very simple. Why did Trump get elected? I have a feeling it was because he was very loud and he said things that were very simple. Anyway, so what was the fourth one? This is the one that I champion the most, and that is make good content. Make good content. Like, make good content for a long time, and one day, maybe, maybe something will find its way to someone. The sad reality is that is the way that doesn't work most of the time. There's a lot of good content out there. There's so much. Oh, yeah, and don't confuse when I'm saying simplicity for clarity. Clarity is really damn important. Clarity is very important. I mean, that's what I mean by make good content. Like clarity. Make everything economic. Economic is a great word when it comes to art. You take your big idea and you go, okay, what are its easiest pieces? And you build with the easiest pieces. And you put the nuances in there, yes. But, make it kind of go at a pace. Be economic. Don't linger on a point way longer than it needs to be. So, okay. But they had a specific example. They said, well, you see, I'm making an animated series and I haven't gotten enough people to even make it happen yet. I'm still doing it. What's the easiest way to get help for a series? That would be simply just trying to find like-minded people, approach people that you like, that are small, around the same size as you, and see if they want to work with you. See if you want to try and work with them. Like, throw them a bone, they'll throw you one. Like, try to be friends with people. I find that helps an awful lot. I think that helps a lot with animation. Is like, it's all about, the people you work with. So yeah, if you can do that, then that's who makes your thumbnails? Rachel Garrett, who is in my Discord and is wonderful and is one of my Patreon supporters. She is my designated thumbnail artist. Would you consider working with me? I am not an animator, but if you need something, you can contact me and I will try to fit it in. I must admit that I'm damn busy, but I am more than willing to try. Um, I mean, that's the big thing. I will try. Who dis? Oh, I just got Asgoth's or Osgoth. Sorry, I don't know what I'm doing. Um, yeah, I got your DM on Twitter. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Is there any way to watch streams that I missed? Yeah, I save them on the front page of my YouTube channel. At the very bottom, there's an unlisted playlist, and that's what I'm doing. So, okay. Anyway, like voice acting or something. Yeah, I can try and work something in. If you send me a DM on Twitter, I'm pretty open to trying and helping. I used to read screenplays for people a lot. I made it a Patreon perk because I was just like, God, I said I'll read your screenplays, and then I got 100, and I'm like, oh God, like 190-page screenplays I gotta read. Oh shit! So I read like 2 of them, and I was like, I can't do this. I'm so sorry. Like I gotta make this a Patreon perk. So yeah, but yeah. How does H-Bomb pronounce your name? Do you struggle with depression, etc.? Advice for creators struggling under it. Okay. I find that excising depression is literally a matter of accepting it in a lot of ways. It's like, because yes, I am depressed. Like I get depressed a lot. I have body dysphoria a lot. I question my assigned gender an awful lot. As a matter of fact, like I'm kind of in a transitional stage there where I'm thinking about myself differently, and it's helping me in a sort of way. I don't know if I really want to get into that in any more details than what I did, but I also just flat out have days where I go to bed at 4 a.m. and then I wake up and I don't want to get up. Like, and I got work to do. I got a to-do list right here. With like a bunch of stuff on it. I have a to-do list. I write a to-do list every morning, and that keeps me on track with everything. And oftentimes I only get done with maybe half of the things on my to-do list, but I have to write one every day so that I know what the hell I'm doing. Because if I don't, then I don't do anything. Like I find that, it turns out to be like 6, 7 p.m. and I'm like, oh God, I haven't even started. So I started doing this a year ago with the to-do list thing, and I find that it makes me really actually consider things. Like I have 2 things that I really wanted to do tonight after I get home from The Last Jedi, and they're on my list. They're at the top of my list, and goddamn it, I'm gonna do them. And that's how I kind of fight that. The other thing is you have to be more open with yourself about these things. Like if you're depressed, you need to say it. Like you need to say it to you. You need to write it down. You need to channel it somewhere. Like you have no idea how helpful it is to just say, I'm depressed. Like to just say that, because it's not sadness, right? Like it's not saying I'm sad. It's saying I'm depressed and I'm not doing anything. Like I feel like I can't do anything. Like that is a hurdle to get over. Like you can know everything. Like I feel like, I'm nearly out of college. I have all this shit that I know now about all this stuff. And I try to make all my videos where I'm like, I'm going to channel this thing I know into this so that people learn something, like edutainment, But then I go, God damn it, I don't care. Like I cannot care. Like I cannot feel anything about this. And it's so important to say that. It's very important to say that to yourself. I don't care about this. Why do I not care about this? And then you need to ask yourself how you can care about it. You're not sad about it. It's depression. It's like it's a physical manifestation in your body that will not allow you to care about the things that you want to care about. That's important. That's so important to be aware of. So my view on it is like, accept that and try to fix that, and also ask yourself what you can do to make yourself care more about something. What can you, like, overcoming depression is literally a matter of saying, I recognize that there is a hurdle here. How am I going to get over the hurdle? Yeah. So I dropped my pen in the middle of that, and it was unfortunate, but really, to-do list. It's important. Do a to-do list. It will help you. Does the skeleton that appears in some of your videos have a name? I can't believe that I've just gone from like this big thing about like, I'm talking about my gender identity and how I don't know about that, and like depression, and here's some solutions to help you with depression and all that stuff, to just being like, anyway, back to my goofy YouTube show. But yes, his name is Remington, and his pronouns are he, him. Yeah. Anyway, dude, if you're ignoring this question, I'm pestering you. I'm sorry. I just want your opinion on this. I saw your review of Creep on your old channel, and you still agree with your opinions on it. Okay. Good question. I've seen this question roll by a couple times, but it's like, when it's about a specific movie, I have a hard time being like, yeah, that's a meaty topic, I'm gonna talk about that, you know. So I have a tendency to like back out of that and be like, so I will admit that I saw Creep in there a few times, and I was just like, Creep, yeah, they're probably asking about Creep too, and I just, like, questions flew by and I just missed it. But I am sorry, I'm not ignoring you, I'm not ignoring anybody, I'm trying to read all this stuff. There's like just a wall of text just constantly moving on my screen, so it's very hard to try and, but anyway, okay. So good question though, in an idea sort of sense. Creep on my old channel, do I still agree with my opinions on it? And the idea is, yes. Okay, I don't like to be too firm in these things where I say like, you know, always yes, because obviously not, you know, always maybe, but at the same time, I do think that my presentation of my ideas, the way that I think, is a lot different now than when I said the things that I said about Creep. I mean, don't do this, but if you go back like 3 years in time on my YouTube channel, you will find a lot of videos that are so awful, like so stupid. Like the way that I defend my stupid, like my stupid shit, my shit views, and trying to get views on YouTube is like the most reductionist, stupid thing in the world. So don't do that, and I would not recommend it. So like, I wasn't trying to be edgy, I was trying to get views. Like, I was trying to do the thing that I thought got views for other people. I was like, oh, just do the thing that everybody else is doing, you know. I feel like I've transcended that, and I'm okay accepting that I've transcended that. But the shitty thing is, you have to go into the darkness to come out of the darkness in a lot of ways. So I had to be that for a while, hate that, and then stop being that. Yeah, you get it. So like, anyway, point is, I probably still feel the same about Creep. I remember it. If I turned it on, I'd probably be like, haha, yeah, this movie, cool. Like, it takes a lot for me to hate a movie. Matter of fact, most movies, don't hate them. Like, I don't hate them. I don't hate movies. I saw the Emoji Movie in the theater, and after it was over, you know how everybody went home to their Twitter account and they were like, fuck the Emoji Movie. I didn't tweet. I saw it, and then I went home and I was like, okay, whatever. I mean, it's not, you know, it's not great, but, you know, whatever. It's a movie. Do I hate Gooby? I love Gooby. Gooby's wonderful. Like, why are we hating shit? Like, hate is such a passionate emotion, and like, I just like, I'm more interested like intellectually in movies than like emotionally involved. I think hating something is like this visceral emotional feeling where you're like, I hate this thing, you know. It's like this emotional thing, and I just don't feel like I'm really into that. And now I love movies. There are movies that I would say that I really feel strongly towards. I love The Last Jedi. Like, I think that movie is amazing. And you can dislike movies too. You can be like, I didn't like it. There's a lot of movies that I don't like. The thing is, hating something is like, what's helpful about hating it? Not a lot. So that's sort of my view. I really don't feel like hatred of something, especially in a position of like I have a platform. I have a responsibility as having a platform. And I think it's my responsibility to think about myself and to think about my feelings and to think about things. Yeah, I mean, you want to hate something, hate, you know, racism, you know, hate government shit that's going on, hate shit like that. Some artist making a movie, you know, like a lot of people, man, it's so, yeah, I don't know. Hate can feel good, but hate is not hate. No. Okay, Last Jedi has a line that perfectly says the thing that I'm feeling, and I've been feeling this for years. It's not like a long time. It's not just like a now thing. But after seeing The Last Jedi, somebody in the movie literally articulated the line, and I was like, hello, thank fucking God. And that line is, you know, die for what you love. Don't like kill for what you hate, basically, you know? It's like, you can hate stuff, I guess, but I mean, like, it's just, there's nothing helpful about hating something when, like, when it is an insignificant thing. It is 100 years from now, what are we going to be talking about is a great thing to think about. And I think that here you go, right? In 100 years, if we're all still here, we're going to be asking ourselves the question of like, what art was important? YouTube was a medium that existed. Film is a medium that existed. Maybe it's over by this point. Maybe it's way better than we could have ever had it before. Maybe we're walking in the movie and we're watching it literally in real time. Who knows? But the point is, we're going to look back at this time now, and we're going to ask ourselves questions about it, and we're going to think about it historically. And if you've ever looked at anything from an art historical perspective, then damn it, it's pretty important. It gives you presence. It gives you nuance. It gives you all this stuff, because you realize that in 100 years, nothing fucking matters. Nothing fucking matters. Nothing fucking matters. In 100 years, nothing fucking matters. Like, you know what matters from 100 years ago? Bernini. Have you ever seen a Bernini sculpture? They're the greatest sculptures ever made in the history of the world. Wow! You know, and there were people in Bernini's time that hated Bernini. Like, they thought he was just this big asshole, and he was just some idiot, and like, he fucked up this bell towers that he was building, and it crumbled. Like, they had to dismantle it, and because of that, the entire city of Rome hated Bernini. Hated him. So, why do I tell you this? All right. So you go see the Emoji Movie. You go see the Emoji Movie. And then you go, I hate that movie. I hate that movie. I hate that movie. I'm going to make a video that's going to take me months of my life, days of my life, hours of my life, and real energy, right? To shit on this movie that who gives a shit? When people stop using emojis, guess what? No one's going to give a shit about the Emoji Movie, right? Who gives a fuck about the Emoji Movie? Okay, I mean, I can understand having spent time and money for such a film. You can understand hating having who the fuck goes to see the Emoji Movie? Who the fuck goes to see the Emoji Movie? Who is like an adult who's going to be mad about the money they spent, like, and the time. They're like, man, I could have seen literally nothing. I could have sat at home and watched one of these amazing Netflix series that are like free, basically. They're like $10 a month. Or I could spend my hard-earned $10 and head up to the theater and see the Emoji Movie. And then when they get out of the Emoji Movie, guess what they say? I wasted my money and my time. What a bunch of shit. Guess what? You could have stayed home and watched something good. You chose to go see the damn Emoji Movie, right? Like, look, my point is this. You know, give yourself a little bit of pause here. Is hating this helpful? Worth it? Is it pushing anything towards the future? Is it good to do this? Like, or is it fine to not do that? Like, right? You know, whatever. So my thing is, why are we shitting on the Emoji Movie? Like, what's the value of hating the Emoji Movie publicly? Like, what's the value of spending a month of your life making a video about how much you hate the Emoji Movie? And people will do it. Oh, people will do it. For the next years, we're going to see videos about the Emoji Movie. I promise. Now, you want to make some goofy, jokey thing that doesn't take you a lot of time? Fine. Whatever. I have no problem with that. But literally, like, being a hateful fuck about the Emoji Movie is, like, goofy. It's goofy. Like, whatever. You know? That's my view on that. It's like, in 100 years, nobody's going to care about that movie. And no one's going to care about your stupid video about that movie. Spend your effort doing something good for the world. I mean, if you want to criticize a movie, and there is so much value in criticism. There's so much value in criticism. People are screaming. Anyway, criticism is valuable, but valuable criticism is valuable. Not just like just nothing, just nonsense. Yeah. One sec. Hold on. How do I mute this thing? I don't know how to mute it. Oh, yes I do. What's happening? Oh god. Have I crashed the computer? The people that I'm going to see The Last Jedi with have just arrived. Anyway, So yeah, I don't know why I went on that like impassioned rant about people hating the Emoji Movie. I just think it's like the most boring thing in the entire world. It's like the most worthless thing in the world. Which is ironic because a lot of people like saw the Emoji Movie and they were like, "Man, this is the most boring, worthless thing in the world." And it's like, yeah, congratulations, don't contribute, just do something else. Like, yeah. Anyway, do you take who do you take inspiration from? That's a tough one. Let me think for 1 second. Oh yeah, so somebody did say real analysis, even if negative, is useful. Yes, but analysis. Analysis. Like analysis. Analysis. That's oddly not something we see a lot of. I mean, a lot of stuff. I've made videos where I'm like, this is an analysis video, but it's not. It's not an analysis video. It's like a joke thing. Like my Holy Mountain video, which like does have the help. No. I'm not. I know you're not disagreeing. I'm agreeing with you in like an exaggerated way because I don't know. I'm feeling crazy right now. But yeah. No. I made that Holy Mountain video, and I would say over half of it is not really much of an analysis video. Admittedly, it's like a thing. I mean, it got a lot of people to watch it. It showed a lot of people the movie and made them go, wow. And so a lot of people were like, yeah, cool. But yeah, like I called it an analysis video and it isn't. Now I do analysis videos and I've made up for it. But like, that's what people seem to think analysis videos are. Like, I cannot tell you how many times I have been like, oh, cool, an analysis video on X movie. Cool, I'm excited. I want to see that. Then I turn it on, and it's just a bunch of crap. It's just a bunch of crap. And I'm like, wow, okay, guys, you know. The point is, if you're not really being all that helpful or you don't have a very good, like, if you don't have a clear perspective on these things or you don't have something you really want to say, then you are just kind of falling right into the same old dumb shit, and that you don't have to do that. Yeah, I mean, that's my main criticism of like film content on YouTube is a lot of people think that there are videos that are analysis videos that just plain aren't analysis videos. And then there are people that think that there are review videos that are like, if this is a review video, it's kind of a bad review video. Like, it's not very nuanced. It doesn't have a very clear understanding of the medium. And also, like, what is what is the value of this thing? Like, I've watched the thing. What do I get? Now I should know something about film because I can remember, yes, that movie that guy really didn't like, he said that thing, and oh yeah, so when I go to make my movie or I go to talk about a movie, I can use some of that verbiage, some of those ideas, and I can strengthen my own work. And that's what being helpful is. I can think about these things and how they apply to culture and whatever, and I can do something better with it. And that's the general idea. But that's often not what you get. I think one of the big things is talking about film as if it's art. Everybody has an opinion on every movie that ever comes out because everybody sees the movies. I mean, look at Star Wars right now. There are so many people that are... Now, listen, before I say this, it's very important to realize that there are legitimate criticisms of The Last Jedi around on the internet. I've heard them, and a lot of them are very valid, and a lot of the conversations are good to have. They are helpful. They are great. They're wonderful. But an awful lot of the stuff that I'm seeing, like opinions on The Last Jedi, boil down to this very simple thing, which is like the movie undercut a lot of the things that I wanted to feel from the movie, therefore it is a bad movie, which is very close to a lot of the stuff that I'm used to seeing on YouTube. The thing is, everybody has an opinion. A lot of those opinions are not informed, and a lot of those reactions are important to have. The problem is the shouty, angry reactions are the ones that people listen to and go, yes, the truth, there it is. Instead of being like, that person had an interesting reaction. What is my reaction? Why did this person react this way? You know, dig a little deeper. Get it? That's my whole thing. It's like, it's a lot more complicated than just simply being like, that movie disappointed me in a certain way. Like, well, maybe it was supposed to. I don't know. Maybe there's some virtue in the reason though why that was done. Also, by the way, multi-million-dollar movies, like, there's a big investment, which means that a lot of people have to like really constantly defend every decision in the movie, like to executives, to other people, to just so many people. Like, you have no idea how many people have to defend constantly their ideas on a movie set. Literally, directing a movie is defending yourself for 24 hours a day for the entire runtime of the production, pre-production, post-production, constantly. You are constantly defending the reason that is in the film. So, when people say, like, this is bad, there's no reason for this to be here, well, congratulations. They didn't think about it, did they? The thing is, why not take it at for what it is? There is a reason for this. What could possibly be the reason? What would be the reason? What is it trying to do with this this thing? You know, there's a lot to it. There's a lot to this job. It's not just being like, the problem is, like, a lot of review stuff has kind of come across as like, wow, anybody can do this, because, like, I have opinions and I don't have to have reasons for my opinions, so I can just shout my opinions very loudly and boom, there I go. You know, it's like, I don't know. I think a lot of people are like, have this viewpoint that filmmakers need to be held to a higher standard, a higher objective standard. They believe this, not realizing that, like, critics and thought and stuff like that towards these films also need to be held, like, they need to be held to a higher standard. Like, it's not enough to yell about something you don't like. Like, you have to do more than that. You have to think about it. Like, you have to really think about it. I mean, come on, you know? I don't know. The thing is, like, filmmakers have to defend themselves 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the entire production of a film. But critics quickly just go, didn't like it. Here's an hour-long video of me screaming. The end. I don't have to defend that, you know? Come on, think about it. The thing is, I see this a lot too, where they're like, man, you put more effort into this video than they put effort into making the movie. Bullshit. Have you ever made a movie? It's impossible. The fact that any movie ever gets finished is amazing. Like, the one shot is such a pain in the ass. Like, you have no idea. Anyway, yeah, so that's legitimately my idea, is like, movies are hard, people defend themselves, there are reasons for these things to exist. So whenever anybody's like, you put more effort into this review than the filmmaker, they're full of shit. They didn't. I don't. I go out and I shoot this stuff, and I spend a very long time on my content, and I spend a lot of time on my thoughts. But guess what? Like, it ain't nearly the effort that it takes to make one of these things. Yeah. Anyway, I guess I should be done. If all art means something, what's the meaning of abstract art? Okay, so check this out. This will blow your mind. So this is one of the things that I always struggled with in art school, where I was like, well, what is abstract art then? Like, what's the value of abstract art if if not narrative art, art with a clear story? And of course, as I said, like, all art is political. I've said that a million times because it's true. All art is political. So abstract art, in a lot of ways, is a rejection of narrative. It is a rejection of the political. It is saying, I don't want to talk about politics. I don't want to talk about my feelings. I don't want to talk about my society. I don't want to talk about any of that stuff. I'm just going to throw paint at a canvas and see if something cool happens. Now, that is political, you understand, because you have said, I am disinterested in the political state. Like, I am disinterested in expressing meaning. That is the meaning. Therefore, abstract art is meaningful in its own sort of way. Also, a lot of abstract art isn't really being talked about in a sort of way. Like, there is a lot to abstract art. I know abstract artists, and they put a lot of stuff into, a lot of thought into what they're trying to do with it. Like, they'll see an image of like some horrible thing, and the idea is we're going to mask that horrible thing under layers and layers and layers of abstraction to get away from the fact that that's what the thing is, but they still want to kind of have that emotional feeling in there, that kind of vibe. So that's an interesting way of looking at it. I just think that there's a lot more to it than what's being told. Jackson Pollock, right? Jackson Pollock paintings are these weird paintings where he just threw paint at a canvas. And a lot of people said, that's not art. That is not art. He's just throwing paint at a canvas. But it's complicated. I mean, he works on these things for a long time. I mean, he's dead now, but he worked on these things for a long time. But the point is, it's not about the effort. It's easy to talk about the effort. But the thing is, action painting is a relationship. Action painting is like literally interacting with the canvas to see what happens. That's the idea. It's not about the end product as much as the art exists in performing the art. It is doing the thing, and doing the thing is inherently more important than the thing that exists at the end, which is a lot. That's a rejection of a lot of the traditional ways that we look at making art, and that is ultimately really interesting. And there's an interesting conversation to be had about that. But a lot of people just want to talk about how it's ugly and doesn't mean anything, when ultimately, I don't know, it does mean something. It is kind of its own sort of thing. It lives in its own universe, you know. So yeah, I should probably go because I gotta go to the movie. Abstract art is a lot about the subconscious, or at least we interpret it through subconscious, which is interesting. What is up with the occult aesthetic and the esoteric visuals? I don't even want to answer, just a dissection. I love the primordial nature and its tribal vibrations. I'm really cheap LMIO copy paste. Are you talking about on my channel, or are you talking about just in general? One thing about Jackson Pollock is he made people question what art was, which is important. Yes. And we actually are coming to this kind of weird place where it feels like there aren't a lot of ways left for us to question it. You know, it's worth noting that there's this idea of, you know, Ayn Rand's artistic objectivism, which is pretty much saying that art is meant to reflect reality only exclusively. And if art badly reflects reality, then congratulations, you've made bad art, or not art, straight up not art. And they call things like, you know, architecture not really art as much as it is decoration. Jackson Pollock would be like decoration, which I think is actually kind of a bunch of horse shit. But the point is with the Jackson Pollock stuff is like Jackson Pollock is an amazing thing that makes us question what art is in a way outside of the objective. Yeah, I mean, simply by virtue of it being, simply by virtue of the fact that it is pushing art in a different sort of way. Like it does not reflect reality because art does not reflect reality. You get it? So it's like it's a rejection of it by existing. And by the way people speak about it. And that's the people that are speaking about it in that sort of way are not wrong. They are now backed up by the subjective, like, core there. I've been working on a comic and I want to put it online. How exactly can I do it and get actual constructive criticism? It's hard because a lot of places won't give you some constructive criticism. I would say send it to some people that you trust. If you want to send something to me, I will read it if I can. But yeah, that's a pretty important aspect. You got to have people around that you trust. You know, you post a screenplay online and no one knows how to read a screenplay because you read a screenplay up here. You see the thing on the page and you imagine what that would look like visually, what that would sound like, how that would feel if somebody said that. There are a lot of elements to it. That's reading a screenplay. So when anybody just posts their screenplay up, of course there's going to be a lot of people being like, this is a bad screenplay, not knowing how to read screenplays. So that thing where you see in the comment section a lot of times where like, I thought this movie was good, but the script was bad. It's like, well, did you read the script? And even if you did read the script, do you know how to read a script? I don't think you do. Like, talk about the story, talk about the things you can talk about with some expertise, but like, I find that a lot of like dumb bad criticism comes from this idea of like, we can be objective, there's a script, we can talk about the script even though they have no idea how to do that. So anyway, so I need to stop shitting on every critic ever, but I need to go. So thank you guys for being here. It was really cool to talk to you guys and hang out, and I'm on Twitter, so you can tweet me things. If you have questions for me, I'll typically answer them. I have a Curious Cat now, so you can ask me questions there. And of course, like Patreon and stuff like that. So, gonna go see the movie, then I'm gonna come back, and then I got a lot of stuff to do. So, I'll probably be updating on what I'm doing tonight. I have this kind of weird video that I want to shoot, but I don't know if I'm going to put it on YouTube. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. We'll see. Anyway, thank you guys. I'll see you around, and much love. Hopefully this has been good. So, bye.